Hello beautiful warriors, my name is Caitlin Parker and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, as you guys noticed, I am joined with Bentley. That's how you guys know that today's video is going to be tough and I may have to cry my way through it, but I'm just going to turn on the camera and just talk. So I'm starting a new series on my channel. I was going to be like documenting my journey through Winrevair and how it has affected me and what I was going through, because the last medication I was on and I tried was my sub-Q Remodulin, and that caused me to lose a lot of memory and that caused a lot of medical trauma for me. So I don't remember a lot about it. That is a good thing because that's my brain protecting me, because I went through a lot of bad things during that time and I needed my brain to block it out. I was in a really bad place and you guys could tell I was in a bad place, and that's what caused my medical trauma. A lot of it, that was one of the biggest traumas that I went through and caused PTSD. As much as I am grateful that my brain had blocked it out and protected me, it makes it very hard at doctor's appointment or during therapy when they ask me about it, because I can hardly answer their questions because my brain blocked it out. So the only thing I remember is just I was just constantly sick and I got a lot of triggers from that and a lot of PTSD from that, and then I tried to commit suicide because of that. So yeah, that's how that went, and that's just giving you guys like a little background, but that's why I want to record and document my journey through Winrevair so I can also help other people with this, because this is a rare disease and there's not a lot of information about it. So this video is going to be all over the place. This is my introduction video. I don't know how long it's going to be, but this is just the beginning. Winrevair came out and was FDA approved in March of 2024, so just a couple months ago. Now it is available, well, not just like right now, but since March other PAH patients have been able to start it, and I am starting my first dose tomorrow. So that's why I have to quickly make this video, because of course I waited to the last minute to make it, because it's just a really hard subject and a really dark subject for me to talk about. So that's why I have Bentley, even though you can't see him anymore. Come here. Up. Up. I really want to get this on camera. Sometimes he'll like come in and then he'll go like this. It's so cute. I'm kind of forcing him to now so he doesn't look like he's relaxed, but he will come in when I'm just like watching TV and he'll just like put his little head right here and I'll just pet him. I wish I kind of had a pillow for him to lay on, because I kind of feel bad about how he has to lay. Sorry, again, I got distracted. If I'm looking this way, I am looking at my computer because that's where a lot of my information is coming from. I do have information just burned in my brain, but a lot of it I have to read it so I don't go off topic like I already have. So like I said, tomorrow I'm getting my first injection of Winrevair. This is a new medication and I wanted to talk to you guys about the brand name versus the genetic name. Winrevair is the brand name, and I have to look it up. 1 second. I just had the name, but now I can't pronounce it again. Winrevair. Sotatercept. Okay, Winrevair is the brand name and Sotatercept is the generic name. And I wanted to say that Sotatercept is sold under the brand name Winrevair, and it is a medication used for the treatment of pulmonary arterial hypertension, and Winrevair is the first new therapy, so new medication for PAH in over a decade, because the last medication that came out was in 2015 and it is now 2024. I also did learn a lot about that, but we'll go through that later. There was something that kind of explained what the brand name versus generic name was, because I thought it was interesting, because I didn't know that before doing this video, so that's why I wanted to make sure to put it in the video. So this is just what it says on Google. It says a brand name is the name given to a medical by the pharmaceutical company that markets it. A generic name is the chemical name of the medicine's active ingredient, which is what makes it work. The active ingredient is the sotatercept, and that is the key active ingredient which makes Winrevair work as a treatment for PAH. Sorry, that was really hard to get out. Okay, a little more about Winrevair. Okay, now I'm going to pull up my notes because I have a little more information about Winrevair. Okay, this is kind of, I guess, the easiest way to put it. See, a lot of the first two ones that I have as paragraphs are just bad. Like, they're just a lot of medical terms. It says, like, Winrevair works by inhibiting the cell overproduction and allowing the pulmonary artery and small arteries to revert to a healthier structure. Which basically, why people want to take Winrevair is because it is supposed to increase your exercise capacity, and it's supposed to reduce the risk of worsening your PAH. So that's why it's a good medication to take, and that's how it's going to work and why. Oh my god, I don't even know how to speak. Okay, now that I catch my breath, I'm just going to be speaking through like mental memory, muscle memory, I don't know. So hopefully I can get my words out a little more easier. Like I said in the beginning, it's just a hard and a heavy topic to talk about. I also told you guys that I would have to cry through it, and that's what we're going to do. So what Winrevair is it is a injection. So I will have to get a shot every 3 weeks. Before I do get a shot though, we have to check the hemoglobin pallet count, and that's prior to my first dose. So I have already done that, and they said that my levels were good. So tomorrow I will be getting my first dose, but I will have to do that for the first 5 months. So for the next 5 injections, before I get the injections, I will have to get my blood drawn, and then it will be every 3 months instead of every once a month, because they do have to keep checking it because the amount of medication you get is based on your weight. So it's a shot or injection, as it says, given once every 3 weeks. You can get it in your stomach, your arm, or your thigh. And I don't know, this is something I need to talk to my hospice nurse about, because I think I'm either going to get it in my arm or my thigh, whichever one she suggests, because from my Remodulin days, I have a lot of scars on my stomach where you're supposed to get the injections, because you're supposed to get it 2 centimeters next to your belly button. So because I had a lot of sides go bad, I had a lot of, I don't even know how to call it, but just like white bumps, but just like messed up scar tissue because of that. So I don't think that they're going to be able to poke me in my stomach. I think that will create too much PTSD if they try to do it in my stomach, because for 90% of the time for my Remodulin, I was getting poked in the stomach, and then finally for like the last 2 months I was on it, then we would try to do my arms. I think I have maybe 2 white marks on this side and 2 or 3 on this side as well. So it's not as bad as my stomach, because my stomach I have 10 plus. So I think I'll be trying to get it in my thigh, but I don't know yet. Anyways, Winrevair comes in 2 strengths. Winrevair is available in a 45 and 60 milligram dosage strengths for right now, but then I see that, so those are kind of the beginning right now, but then there was another article that says it's between 45 to 120 mgs, so 45 mgs to 120 mgs, but for right now it's only available in 45 mgs and 60 mgs. So I will be starting out at 45 mgs, and I'm probably going to stay on that for a while. I wanted to talk about the side effects that you can get, so let me pull up the side effects. I kind of already know this, but it's sometimes easier for me to read it out. The most common side effects are headache, nosebleeds, rash, spider veins, diarrhea, dizziness, emphysema, which I probably pronounced wrong, which is just skin redness and big red dots over your body. So this is kind of a funny story. When I was talking to my doctor, even though this is an introduction video, I have already talked to my doctor and I've already gotten my first blood drawn. But when I talked to my doctor, he did say that some people with a higher blank level, I'm not sure what it was, but it started with a T, they're at higher risk for a stomach bleed, and that kind of did freak me out. But what I thought was funny was I am more freaked out about getting the shot than I am about the chance of getting a stomach bleed, which that's not normal. But for me and my past, that is one of my traumas, is getting a shot. From the time I can remember, which is 3, I tense up really bad, so my muscles are really tense, and that's the worst thing you can do before getting a shot. So I have a lot of trauma. So I'm basically always forced to get shots. Yeah, I can't count on my hand like the number of shots that I have, because I always have bad reactions. The last shot I had was in, I think, like 2018, and that was the flu shot. That's because it was mandatory and because I couldn't say no yet because I wasn't 18. And when you're 18, you're allowed to say yes, I want it, or no, I don't want it. And before I was 18, I didn't have that control. I think I got the flu shot maybe like 3 times just because of how awful I react to getting shots. Like, it's pretty bad, and that's why I'm so scared for tomorrow. So today for therapy, that's what I'm going to be talking about, is trying to prepare me for that. So that was the most common side effects, and honestly that's kind of really all I know. It's a new drug, it's from March, and a lot of people don't know a lot about it. So I am in a lot of Facebook groups, and in my Facebook groups it has really honestly been nothing but positivity. There hasn't been a lot of cases where people are having like difficulties. I guess I should say extreme difficulties. Like they say the first shot, a lot of people say stinks. So I do have to keep that in mind, that this shot will probably stink, but the sting only lasts a couple of seconds. But then they say that the second shot doesn't sting, and so on. Most of the people in my group are between their 3rd and 4th shot. Some people haven't started it, some people are waiting to get on it, some people are just now starting their first shot, which is kind of like me. But then besides that, a lot of them are on their 4th shot because they're the ones that started in March. But from what people have been saying in my Facebook groups is that the first shot is pretty easy. They didn't notice a lot of bad side effects. A lot of them didn't have really side effects. Some of them said they had like a slight headache, muscle cramps, but if you have PAH, you already deal with those symptoms. So that's why it says it's a common symptom. After the second dose, that's kind of when the bleeding started. So like the nosebleeds, and then a lot of people said they had vaginal bleeding. So when they went to the bathroom, they saw blood in their pee. A lot of people don't talk about the diarrhea. So I don't know if anybody has had it, but nobody has talked about it. I haven't heard anybody have a rash, spider veins, or the big red patches and dots on their skin. But I have heard of headaches, nosebleeds, kind of muscle aches or muscle tension, and then vaginal bleeding, and that's about it. But the good news is that also a lot of people say that they have noticed a difference after their first dose. So that's exciting to hear. I was thinking it would probably be the 2nd or 3rd dose that you might notice it. That's kind of more common, as people said that some people could see it during their first dose. A couple people said that their family members had noticed it before they did. So this one girl said her sister had come in, they were doing an activity, and she said, wow, like I've noticed that you were able to do this activity longer. You had more energy to do this activity than you have in the past. So sometimes it's the caregivers that have noticed it. And when I was on the phone with my mom yesterday, I had told her about that because we were kind of talking about me making this video, and then I told her about the caregiver part, and she said that sometimes when I was trying the Uptravi and the Tyvaso, I didn't see it personally working for me, but they could. But the side effects were so bad that I couldn't deal with it, so I stopped it. And when I say like increased energy, I don't mean like, oh, I'm able to run now or I'm able to do a whole bunch. It's like on a scale from 0 to 10, starting at a 2 and then taking the medicine, then maybe going to like a 5. So it's a little notice of a change, but I didn't really give it, they say I didn't give it a really good chance. I was on it for about I think I was on for about 6 months. The Selexipag and Uptravi I was on for about 6 months. And then the Tyvaso, I think it was 2 to 3 months, because I'm like, oh no, I'm going through this. I already had these symptoms from the Uptravi because it was the same medication. It was just, instead of the pill form, it was the inhaler form. So I was getting extreme migraines every single time I had to take the medication. So I'm like, no, I'm not going through that. And I don't remember what time that was. Somewhere before 2021 or the year 2021, but not past that. Yeah, I just had a brain block. I don't really know where to go. My brain. Whew. So I guess that's kind of what I know in my head and what people have said on my Facebook groups that I have talked to. That was the common side effects from Winrevair and the injection, like how you're gonna get it, the side effects you may get. Okay, and then as I was doing my research on Winrevair, I went down the Google rabbit hole, and so this is the information that I found. Pretty amazing and pretty, it's crazy what I found, so I really wanted to share this. It's kind of like a sidetrack on Winrevair, but it's kind of about like the history of it, and you know what, I'm just going to talk about it and it will make sense. So I don't want to say there was no such thing as PAH before this, but if people had it, people didn't know about it because it wasn't diagnosed or it wasn't classified. So it says PAH, pulmonary arterial hypertension, was classified in 1973. Only in 1973 have people known that PAH existed and that was a disease. Like, let that sink inside your head. 1973. My dad was born in 1980. Like, that's crazy. So I need to count real fast. So 70, 80, 90, 2000, 2010, 20. So pulmonary arterial hypertension has been classified and known for 60 years. Think about the whole entire time, like the universe. 60 years is not a long time for a medication or a disease to be out. That's why it is super, super rare. Because think about like cancer or TS or MS, all of those have been around for 1,000 years probably, and it's a very common disease. Pulmonary arterial hypertension has been around for 60 years, only 60. And then my next point is, so it was discovered in 1973, but there was no medication until 1995. So from 1973 to 1995, there was no medication. You could get diagnosed with it, but they're like, well, there's nothing, we can't give you any medication for it. I've always had this thought of like, when I go to Google, and when you Google this disease and it says it has 60% of people will die within a year if you're not medicated. Sorry, I haven't gone through this a lot, but it's like the death rate is very high. I think it said around 60% of people will die within their first year, so that's a big thing. And then if you're lucky enough, or maybe it's around 30% of people. I'm not sure. I haven't found this in a long time, but it's between like 1 and 3 years. A lot of people, maybe 30% of people will make it through their first year, and 60% of people would make it past like year 3. But pretty much it was a death sentence. You got diagnosed with this, you had a year to live. That's pretty scary, but it makes sense now why it says that on Google, because this is such a rare disease, so there's not a lot of information. So when I used to tell people, I don't know why it says the survival rate is like between 1 and 3 years, I was always confused because me, I'm 24. I got diagnosed when I was 8, so I got diagnosed in 2008, and I've had this disease for 15 years, but pretty much I had it when I was born. So I was born in 2000. I wasn't diagnosed until I was 8. So I basically had this disease for 24 years, but I was one of the lucky ones that had a medication. But it was only the second medication that they came out with. From when they actually had a pill from it has only been 30 years. So really there's kind of only been 30 years of information with people like actually on medication. So now a lot more people are living because there's more medication. But just because they say there's more medication, there's really only 4 medications that you can take. So there's still not a lot of medications, and it's still rare, and not a lot of doctors know about it, not a lot of people know about it. Between 50 and 100 people per 1 million people have pulmonary arterial hypertension. So that's not a lot. So then I wanted to go through the medications and that process because I have a really funny story to tell you guys. So let me go to this page. Actually, I have something else to say before that. So on this one of these websites, it says, over the past 20 years, there has been an explosion in the development of therapeutics to treat pulmonary arterial hypertension, a rare but life-threatening disease associated with progressive elevation of the pulmonary pressures and severe right heart failure. Okay, that's kind of funny that it says there has been explosion in the development when from like 1995 to 2024 there has really only been like 4 medications. So there's not an explosion of medications. So going off what I priorly just said, one of these websites says prior to the approval of epoprostenol in 1995, there were no specific therapies for PAH, and survival was very poor. 1-year survival was 69% and 5-year survival was 38%. So see, I was very close. I was just kind of getting those mixed up. But I guess I didn't know the 5-year. This website specifically says 5 years, but normally once you research it, it says like 1 to 3 years. So yes, I was correct. Good muscle memory, or a good brain muscle memory. Okay, now I'm going to go to all the drugs that I wanted to talk to you guys about. The first medication was Flolane, and that's the generic name. The brand name is epoprostenol, which it was FDA approved in 1995. So the first ever medication for PAH came out in 1995. And to put this in perspective, I was born in 2000. So that is crazy. I'm going to be saying that is crazy a lot in this video. So if I was born 5 years earlier, I don't even know what would happen. Like, I was born in 2000 and it took me 8 years to even get diagnosed with PAH because it's such a rare disease. But like I said, people only knew about it at 1973, and there was a first drug in 1995. And actually, the other day I read something that it says the average time period to get diagnosed is 8 years. So I was one of the statistics because it did take me 8 years. Born in 2000, got diagnosed in 2008. The first medication was epoprostenol, came out in 1995. Okay, then we go to Adcirca, which is the generic name, and the brand name is Tadalafil. You guys have heard Tadalafil before because that's the brand name, so I'll always refer to it as Tadalafil. But this is where the funny story comes in because of the conversation I had with my mom. So I told my mom yesterday that I was going to make this video today and that I was doing research about it so I had things to talk about other than just what I already had in my brain. And she told me that Tadalafil was made accidentally. It was an accident that it was made. I'm probably going to say like this is like adult content to talk about, but the making of Tadalafil was a mistake. So in 1995, Viagra was also FDA approved. Viagra is the brand name and Cialis is the main ingredient for Viagra. And that's also sildenafil, which is probably the generic name. Viagra was also the estraprostanol. Sorry, a lot of these stuff I can't say. So there was an ingredient in Viagra that was called Cialis. And one of the main ingredients in Cialis is Adcirca, and Adcirca, aka tadalafil. So you guys, if you don't know what Cialis is or Viagra, it's a male enhancing medication. All I'm going to say about that, if you don't know what it is, you can look it up. That's all I'm going to say. Tadalafil was just one ingredient that was in that medication. Now I need to go back to the brand name and all that stuff because now I forgot. So just to kind of recap that, epoprostenol, Viagra, and Cialis was all FDA approval in 1995. And then one of the key ingredients is Adcirca. Adcirca was an ingredient in Cialis, aka Viagra, or another form of that, and then randomly they figured out that Adcirca plus a few other ingredients created would work for pulmonary arterial hypertension. So Adcirca is the generic name because that was the specific ingredient that made tadalafil work. That's why I'm saying tadalafil was kind of a mistake, because who knew that one ingredient in a male enhancing pill would also be a key ingredient in a medication for people with high blood pressure. Now, I didn't do any research on the Cialis or Viagra because I don't want to, so I don't know exactly what that does to the lungs and the artery, and because pulmonary is high blood pressure, so I don't know any information on that and like how that would work and how that is kind of related to pulmonary arterial hypertension. But it is. If you guys want to do the research, you can. That's all I'm going to say about it on that topic. So that was how tadalafil came, and oh my gosh, I did it backwards. I am so sorry, you guys. I just realized that I did this backwards. The first medication that I was on... Okay, don't get overwhelmed. You're okay. Anyways, the first actual medication for PAH was estraprostanol, which was 1995. The second medication that came out for PAH was Letairis, aka ambrisentan. And even as today, the two medications I take are ambrisentan and tadalafil. So that's crazy that the first two medications I took when I was younger is the same medication that I'm now taking when I'm 24 and kind of towards the end of my life if this medication doesn't work. I'm kind of like at the end stage, I would say. But you never know, I might live like 20 more years, whatever. Not gonna talk about that. So yeah, Letairis, oh my gosh, now I forgot the brand name and the generic name. I'm just gonna call it ambrisentan because this is why I have such a hard time with medications. And I've said this before because each medication is considered by two names, brand name and generic name. Now, from the rest on, I'm just gonna go by the brand name because when I talk to CVS and order it, when I talk to doctors, that's the name we talk about. So that's what I'm going to just start saying. In 2007, ambrisentan was FDA approved. So that was the second medication for PAH. Now, to kind of give you a timeline, again, estraprostanol. I think I say it that different every single time I say it because I don't know how to pronounce it. The E medication, 1995. Ambrisentan, 2007. Me personally, I was diagnosed in 2008. So in 2008, I was put on ambrisentan, and that only came out the year before. It doesn't say which month it was, it just says the year. So who knows how long it was before, because I was diagnosed in October of 2008, and this came out in 2007. And I never really heard the word estraprostanol, so I don't really know if that, because estraprostanol I think kind of maybe Viagra, but like the PAH PAH version. I'm not exactly sure. I'm still confused with that part. I don't exactly get that. So I think kind of the real first medication was ambrisentan, and that was, yeah, I don't know where I was going with that, but so ambrisentan was created in 2007. I was diagnosed in 2008. So when I was diagnosed, I was put on ambrisentan, and then in 2009. Now you can't remember the whole, going back to the whole dialysis topic that I was talking about, that's when tadalafil was born. It was a crazy 3 years from 2007 to 2009, and I'm still on ambrisentan and tadalafil as of today. Then, this is the real crazy part. Then, from 2009, the next, okay, let me, restart. Okay, so then tadalafil, wait, oh my god, I'm gonna pull out my hair. Now I can't find it. 1 second. Okay, I am back. So like I said, tadalafil was created in 2009. Now, the next medication to come out for PAH was in 2015. So 2009 to 2015, there had only been 3 medications and technically only 2. So it was 4 years for a new medication to come out, and that was Uptravi, which is also known as Selexipag. I just kind of call it Uptravi because I think Uptravi was the brand name. I don't really remember. December 21st, we actually have a date this time. December 21st, 2015, Uptravi was FDA approved, and that actually came out in 3 to 4 different medicine combinations. It came out in a pill form, IV form, and a inhaled form. It's still the same drug, but all of the different forms underneath that drug have different names. That's why it's confusing. So it's called Uptravi. That's what the whole umbrella is Uptravi. Now, the medication, the pill form Uptravi is the Selexipag, and the Selexipag was the pill form that gave me extreme headaches. So I cut that off. And then the next one, still Uptravi, so it's under the umbrella, was the Remodulin. The Remodulin was also in 2 forms. I got the sub-Q Remodulin, and that was in an IV form. It was 2 forms of IV, so you can either get it in a little IV insert in your stomach, your arm, your thigh, or you can get an IV directly into your heart. I don't really understand that part because I didn't get onto that one. I got onto the sub-Q Remodulin instead of the one that went directly into your heart because the box was this big. So like, if you guys remember my CAD pump, it was tiny. It was a little pump, probably like this big, and you couldn't notice it. And then you had the other option was the big IV pump that was close to your heart, and the size of that box, maybe the size of your phone. Like, that's how big and bulky the box was. So you had to have it inside your heart, and you can either have this and have that little tubing, you had to have something around your waist to put in this. That one was kind of the block, I called it. So you would put the block inside of that band, or you could put a little pump that was maybe from here to here inside your waistband. So I went with the first option, which was the sub-Q option, which was not good at all. We've already talked about that, so I'm not going to say anything, but that was the IV version. So we have Uptravi. I tried the pill version, which was the Selexipag, and then under that we had the IV Remodulin is what it was called, and then same thing under that umbrella of Uptravi was Tyvaso, and that was the inhaled version, aka like the inhaler. So yeah, then I had an inhaler, and then I had to like do my inhaler 5 times a day, and each time I took the inhaler I would get an intense migraine, and I had to take that like 5 times a day, and the migraine would last an hour. So pretty much for the whole day I would have a migraine. It would not go away. I had a migraine from the time I took the first dose to the time I took the last dose. Well, basically till the time I went to bed. Sorry you guys, my camera had died. But as I was saying, it wasn't in any type of order that I was just naming it in the order that I personally took the medication. So Uptravi came out in December of 2015, and then now it is 2024 and Winrevair came out. So that has been 10 years since a new medication has came out, and it is Winrevair. Now I feel like I'm saying it wrong. Winrevair. This is what happens when your brain is on morphine. You forget a lot of things, and this is why this video is probably gonna be like 30 minutes long. Yeah, so 2015 to 2024 there was no new medication, but there was 3 medications that you could try. The last medication that I took, it was Tyvaso, and that was in 2021. So then after doing that in 2021, I stopped taking the Tyvaso and I just went back to ambrisentan and tadalafil, and from 2021 to 2024 I have only been on ambrisentan and tadalafil, and then now I'm going to be trying Winrevair, and I don't know. So it has been 4 years since I have tried a new medication, and I am really happy for it and I'm really excited for it, but at the same time I know that I cannot get my hopes up, and I'm not going to get my hopes up. So even though I am excited that there is a new medication, it may or may not work, and I know that, and I want to say, well, I am prepared for it, or I'm prepared for either way, but that's not to say that I won't get upset if it doesn't work. My journey starts tomorrow. The next video will be getting my IV and then getting my shot in one video. If I just put in like me getting my blood drawn, it'll only be like a 1-minute video, so I think I'm just going to combine that. And that's why this is kind of confusing, because like I said, I'm filming this video like 2 videos late, but it's like now or never. This medication, Winrevair, was first brought to my attention in June, and now it is the end of August, so it's been on my mind for a couple of months, and to get me kind of prepared to get my thoughts out. I've been talking about it with my therapist, and sometimes I just want to forget because like I don't know what's gonna happen, and I don't want to do the like what ifs and get my hopes up and the what ifs and just constantly thinking about that, because you guys already know that I have really bad anxiety and depression, and I don't want to think about really any of my journey. Like I just want to like coast through it, and whatever happens happens. And that's kind of what I've told everybody, is that I do want to try the new medication, but I'm not getting my hopes up and just saying like, oh, it's gonna work, it's gonna work, it's gonna work. No, I'm not going into it like that, because every other medication up to this point, that's how I've went into it, and it's been a complete failure. So I'm not gonna go into it thinking yes, it's gonna work, I know it's gonna work. No, my PTSD is shots, so it's gonna be a really bad PTSD trigger for me tomorrow. So I'm just hoping it goes well. They want me to be on it for at least 6 months to give it a fair chance. So I will be on it for 6 months unless I just have extremely bad side effects. And I am prone to extremely bad side effects. So that's what has me worried. But I'm just thinking that, you know what, if it works and it helps me, it's going to be really good, and I'm going to be glad I tried it, because it's going to give me some of my energy back. And that's kind of the same with if it goes bad and it doesn't work, at least I tried it, and that's it. That's all you can do, is just try it. I think this is what gets me choked up the most, and what's the most difficult for me to talk about. So this is probably something that I might have to ride through it and have a lot of pauses, so it might be really choppy as me saying this, but this is one of the things I talked about with my therapist, that if it doesn't work, of course I'm going to be upset, but if it does work, yes, I'm going to be excited. Obviously I'm going to be excited. There will come a time when it will become less effective and it won't work as well, and I think that's one of the things that really upsets me, and I don't look forward to going through, because I know that if it works, I'm going to be really happy because I'm going to get my energy back. I don't know how much energy I'm going to get back. I just can't spit it. I'm just rambling because I know I can't spit it out because I'm going to cry. As you guys know, I'm in hospice care because of how bad my PAH is getting, and it's still getting worse. And there has been a lot of things that I've had to accept and a lot of things that I have lost. If the medication works, I'm going to get some abilities back that I have lost. And of course I'm going to be thrilled for that. But then there's going to become a time when it doesn't work. And so it's like I'm going to have to re-grieve all of that loss again, if that makes any sense. I don't know. One thing I have accepted is needing help with the shower and having a wheelchair. And if this medication works, depending on how it works, if I don't need my wheelchair anymore, I will need my wheelchair, but if I will need it less, it's going to hurt when in a couple of years, or whoever knows how long, I'm gonna need my wheelchair again as much as I do today. It's gonna hurt having to lose that again and having to go through that grieving process again. And right now, I'm going to say something about my photography because that's what's been on my mind. Because of where I'm at with my PAH, my love for photography has really dwindled down because of how hard a photo shoot is on my body. The love for photography is still there, but going through a photo shoot is absolutely draining. And I just mean like energy draining. Because of my disease, I can't squat down to take pictures, so a lot of them are of just like of me standing, and I get overwhelmed and overstimulated so easy, and it's just gotten worse and worse over time. So if I do get more energy and I am able to do photo shoots how I could even in 2022, if I get that, I'm gonna be so excited, and that is going to be so painful to have to go back and lose that. I can't even tell you how painful that's gonna be because I still haven't accepted it. I keep telling you that I've been having not the greatest experiences with my photo shoots, and it's not because of the person, it's just because of the toll it takes on my body and how much energy it just drains. I even had a photo shoot yesterday, and after the photo shoot I just sat in my car and cried because I was trying to like squat down, and I was trying to do things that I probably shouldn't have and that I knew was going to drain my human battery, we call it. It's a PAH term, but I still did. And after that photo shoot, I was so devastated just because of my body had just failed me. I absolutely love photography, and it's not something I want to give up, and I still haven't accepted that or the limitations because I don't really know the limitations yet. I'm still working through that. Again, sorry, I know I've been rambling and I'm just kind of recycling what I'm saying. I'm just gonna say this one last time. If I get better and I'm able to really enjoy a photo shoot and keep really enjoying photo shoots, it's going to be a stab in the heart when the Winrevair stops becoming as effective and I slowly lose those abilities that I gained because of this medication, and it's going to break my heart and I'm going to be so upset. And that's what I was talking to about my therapist. And we only had one talk on that because I really wasn't ready to talk about it, and I'm still I don't really want to talk about it because it's kind of like pre-talking, honestly, because I don't know how it's going to go. So we'll revisit this conversation in a couple of months when I do have like a couple of shots under my belt and see actually how it works. We will see. As I said, this is my journey, and this is just the beginning. This is the starting line. Alright, you guys, well, that is it for today's video. I know it was a long one and it was a roller coaster of a video. Bentley is no longer here, and he actually kind of left me the first 5 minutes of the video. This is the intro video. I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to call this series, but this is going to be a documentary of my journey on Winrevair and what I'm going to go through. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and I hope you guys enjoy my journey and watching my journey. Bye, warriors. Peace.